cut off his line of retreat toward Vienna and roll up the French army from south to north.
Napoleon had just abandoned the strongest position on the battlefield. His own generals feared disaster.
They are attacking from the flank. They're too many. We are outnumbered. What is our move, General?
Across the field, Russian and Austrian commanders watched in disbelief.
I can't believe this. How is this even happening?
The Pratzen Heights, the key to the entire battlefield, had been left almost undefended. To them, victory was no longer a question of if, but when. Yet every step they took toward that seemingly vulnerable French army carried them deeper into a trap so perfectly designed that military academies still study it over 2 centuries later. This is the Battle of Austerlitz, the battle that transformed Napoleon Bonaparte from a brilliant commander into one of history's greatest tactical minds.
The time has come to make our move. The landscape is clear. Ready the brigades. We advance at dawn.
December 2nd, 1805. Europe's most powerful coalition had finally united against revolutionary France. The combined armies of Tsar Alexander I of Russia and Emperor Francis II of Austria fielded nearly 90,000 soldiers, determined to crush Napoleon's Grande Armée, which numbered roughly 73,000. Napoleon appeared cornered, but appearances were exactly what he wanted them to see. The question wasn't whether he had made a mistake. The question was, why would the greatest battlefield commander in Europe willingly surrender the high ground? The battlefield lay around the village of Austerlitz in present-day Czechia. At its center rose the Pratzen Heights, a broad plateau overlooking nearly every important approach. Any army holding these heights could observe enemy movements, coordinate artillery, and dominate the battlefield. Military doctrine dictated one simple rule:
never give up the high ground.
Yet Napoleon deliberately withdrew most of his troops from the heights, making his right flank appear dangerously weak near the villages of Telnitz and Sokolnitz. To the Allied commanders, the opportunity seemed irresistible. Their plan was straightforward. Launch the main attack
against Napoleon's weakened right, cut off his line of retreat toward Vienna, and roll up the French army from south to north.
Every battalion sent toward the French flank, however, meant fewer soldiers defending the Pratzen Heights. Napoleon knew they would take the bait. Before sunrise, thick fog covered the battlefield. Hidden behind it, French corps quietly prepared for the decisive moment. As expected, the Allied columns began marching off the Pratzen Heights toward Napoleon's exposed right flank. From a distance, everything appeared to be unfolding exactly according to their plan. But in reality, every minute the Allies advanced, they weakened the very center of their army. Napoleon watched patiently from Zuren Hill. Several of his marshals urged immediate action. He refused. Attack too early, and the Allies could reinforce their center. Attack too late, and the French right might collapse. Timing would decide the battle. Then at approximately 9 o'clock, the morning fog began to lift. Sunlight broke across the battlefield. What history would remember as the Son of Austerlitz? Napoleon turned to Marshal Soult.
One sharp blow, and the war is over.
Soult's 4th Corps surged uphill toward the lightly defended Pratzen Heights. Caught completely off guard, the Allied center crumbled under the sudden assault. Within minutes, the French occupied the battlefield's most important terrain. The Allied army was now divided into 2 isolated wings. On the southern flank, thousands of Russian and Austrian soldiers continued attacking the French right, unaware their line of communication had been severed. To the north, desperate Russian units launched repeated counterattacks to retake the heights. The fighting became some of the fiercest of the Napoleonic Wars. French artillery poured devastating fire into every attempted advance. Meanwhile, Napoleon shifted reinforcements along his interior lines, rapidly strengthening threatened sectors, while the divided Allies struggled to coordinate their response. One by one, every counterattack failed. The Allied army was no longer fighting as one force. It had become scattered pockets of resistance. As panic spread, retreat replaced organized maneuver. Thousands fled south toward frozen ponds and marshes.
Stand back!
French artillery fired into the chaos, adding to the collapse and creating one of the battle's most enduring legends. By late afternoon, Europe's strongest coalition army had ceased to exist as an effective fighting force. Austerlitz wasn't won through superior numbers. It was won through superior decision-making. Every tactical principle worked together. Terrain, timing, deception, concentration of force, command and control.